In my past life, I was a fool tethered to a promise that bled me dry. My name was Lily, born in a dusty village where dreams withered under the weight of tradition. Ethan Carter. My childhood fiancé was the sun I revolved around his fox-like eyes, promising a future beyond our mountain's shadow. I was 17 when I gave him everything my heart, body, and future, believing his whispered vow that we'd marry once he graduated. It was a lie that cost me my life. Our village, a cluster of mud brick homes in the mid-1990s, clung to old ways. Ethan's family was poorer than most. His father, blind from birth, shuffled through life with a cane, while his mother, paralyzed after a fall while gathering firewood, lay bedridden. My parents, though not wealthy, had healthy hands and hearts. They took Ethan in, feeding him eggs and white bread rolls, luxuries we saved for special days. I saw him as family then, as more our bond sealed by village elders teasing about a betrothal. At 16, his jealous kiss under a willow tree burned my cheeks, and I thought it was love. When Ethan passed the college entrance exam, the first in our village to do so, pride swelled in me. He was my ticket out, proving we could escape this place of endless toil. But my dreams of college crumbled when I fainted during the exam, my body betraying me with the weight of my child. My parents' faces, etched with shame, yet softened by love, accepted my fate. I became Ethan's shadow, working tirelessly to fund his tuition. I scrubbed floors, tended his mother's bed sores, and fed his father my hands calloused, my youth fading. I clung to his promise. After I graduate, Lily will marry. We'll build a life together. 4 years I endured my back breaking under the load of his family's needs. Then came the news, sharp as a blade: Ethan had died in an accident. I collapsed, tears soaking the earth, my world reduced to ash. I lost consciousness, waking to a life of duty. Decades passed. I buried his blind father, then his paralyzed mother, my black hair turning white, my body a husk. I was the village's cautionary tale, the girl who gave too much for a man. Then at 60, I saw him. Now a famous entrepreneur, Ethan Carter, returned to our village, his arm around Olivia, the county mayor's daughter. They stood by the village monument, a marble slab honoring local heroes, none of whom were women like me. His granddaughter Emily clung to his side, her eyes wide with admiration. Ethan's gaze fell on me, old and withered, standing at the gate like a ghost. His expression twisted, pity, disdain, a flicker of guilt. He turned to Emily and said, "A woman must respect herself. Don't be like her, giving herself so easily, shamelessly throwing herself at a man." Olivia, elegant in silk, covered her mouth, and her laugh was a cruel chime. The truth hit like a storm. Ethan hadn't died. He'd faked his death to climb the social ladder, marrying Olivia to secure a life of wealth. Her father, the mayor, had demanded he sever ties with his past, and I was the fool he used. Tricked into pregnancy, bound to his family, my dreams sacrificed for his ambition. Rage surged hotter than the summer sun. I grabbed my walking stick, its wood worn smooth by years, and hobbled toward him. "You lied," I shouted, my voice cracking. "You used me." Ethan's eyes widened, but he didn't flinch. He pushed me hard against the stone pillar. Pain exploded in my skull, and the world went black. I died my last breath, a curse on his name. The world snapped back into focus, sharp and jarring, like waking from a nightmare only to find it real. I was 18 again, my skin smooth, my heart pounding, lying on the dry earth of a cornfield. Ethan Carter loomed over me, his breath hot, his fingers fumbling with the buttons of my cotton shirt. The summer air was thick, the cornstalks scratching my arms, their rustle a mocking whisper. His fox-like eyes, once my weakness, gleamed with intent. "Lily," he murmured, "I love you. Give yourself to me." Those words, so familiar, pierced like a blade. Memories of my past life flooded in decades of sacrifice, my youth spent caring for his disabled parents, my dreams buried under his lies. I saw his smug face at the village monument, sneering at my withered form, his granddaughter at his side. "Don't be like her," he'd said, as if my love was shameful. Rage surged hotter than the sun baking the field. My hand moved before I could think, cracking across his cheek with a force that echoed in the stillness. Ethan stumbled back, clutching his face, his eyes wide with shock. "What the hell, Lily?" he snapped, his voice sharp with confusion. I scrambled to my feet, buttoning my shirt with trembling hands. The cornfield, once a place of naive trust, now felt like a cage. "Stay away from me," I said, my voice low, steady, not the timid girl he knew. His mouth opened, then closed, as if searching for the charm that always worked. Lily, I'm sorry, he tried stepping closer, his tone softening. I got carried away. You know I love you. We'll go to college together, leave this village, never be apart. Believe in me. Word for word, the same promises had trapped me in my past life. They'd led to a pregnancy, a ruined future, a lifetime of regret. My chest tightened, not with love, but with a storm of emotions, anger, betrayal, and more profound, more dangerous, doubt. Part of me, the foolish girl I'd been, still remembered the warmth of his kiss at 16, the way his laughter made the village feel less suffocating. Could I trust myself to resist him? The memory of his betrayal at 60, his cruel words to his granddaughter, burned brighter. He'd used me as a blood bank, draining my life for his ambition. I wasn't that girl anymore. I wouldn't be. Believe in you, I laughed cold and sharp, the sound foreign even to me. You're nothing but a liar, Ethan Carter. Touch me again, and I'll scream harassment so loud the whole village hears. His face flickered guilt, then defiance, as if he couldn't believe I'd changed. He reached out his hand, grazing my arm, and I shoved him back, my strength surprising us both. I mean it, I said, my eyes locking onto his. You're done controlling me. For a moment, he stood frozen, the boy I'd loved, now a stranger. The cornfield seemed to hold its breath, the stalks swaying in the humid breeze. I turned my shoes crunching against the earth and walked away, each step heavier with the weight of my past. My heart raced not with fear but with clarity. I was reborn, given a second chance to rewrite my story. In my past life, I'd let Ethan's promises chain me to a life of misery. This time I'd break free. As I emerged from the cornfield, the village sprawled before me, mud brick houses, the distant hum of cicadas, the faint glow of lanterns in windows. It was 1995, and I was 18, with the college entrance exam a month away. I could still take it, still escape. But doubt lingered, a whisper in my mind. Could I outrun my past? Could I face Ethan's charm, the village's judgment, and my heart? I clenched my fists, the sting of my slap still warm on my palm. I'd died once for him, never again. The village was a patchwork of mud brick homes cradled by mountains that seemed to trap time. I was 18 in the summer of 1995, but my memories stretched back to childhood when Ethan Carter was more than a betrayer. He was my world. We grew up side by side, two kids bound by poverty and dreams of something bigger. His family's shack stood across the dirt path from ours, its roof sagging under years of neglect. Ethan's father, blind since birth, tapped his cane through the village while his mother, paralyzed after a fall gathering firewood, lay trapped in her bed. Their hardship shadowed Ethan's life, leaving him hungry, his clothes patched and thin. My parents, though poor, had strength and kindness. They'd invite Ethan over, setting out eggs and white bread rolls, rare treats we savored on festival days. I'd watch him eat, his cheeks hollow from hunger, and feel a quiet pride when he smiled. "Thanks, Lily," he'd say, his fox-like eyes bright. At 10, we were just kids sharing meals, but the village elders saw more. Betrothed them young, they'd tease, their voices rough with tobacco and laughter. "They'll make a fine pair." I blushed too young to question their words, and Ethan's shy grin made my heart skip. By 16, our bond deepened. We were in the same class, our desks side by side, scribbling dreams of college to escape the village's endless cycle of toil. One spring evening, under a willow tree by the river, a boy from another class asked me to a movie. Ethan's face darkened, and before I could respond, he pulled me close and kissed me, his lips fierce with jealousy. "You're mine, Lily," he whispered. My cheeks burned, and I nodded, thinking this was love. The village cheered our puppy romance, their jokes about marriage planting seeds in my naive heart. I saw Ethan's face, sharp jaw, expressive eyes, and believed we'd leave together hand in hand. But cracks appeared in our senior year. Olivia, the county mayor's daughter, transferred to our school, her city clothes and confident smile starkly contrasting our worn uniforms. She was preparing for the college entrance exam, her father's promotion looming, a chance to secure her family's status. She sat next to Ethan, her presence a quiet storm. Ethan, usually warm and easygoing, clashed with her in petty arguments over shared desks or borrowed pens. I was too innocent to see it for what it was, flirtation, a spark that excluded me. Pressured by her father's ambition, Olivia saw Ethan's potential and charm as a ladder to her own goals. She wanted influence, and he wanted escape. I noticed Ethan's distance. His laughter was no longer mine. He'd linger after class, talking to Olivia while I waited by the school gate, my heart sinking. "Just friends," he'd say, brushing off my questions, but his eyes avoided mine. One evening, a month before the exams, he came to me, his voice soft again. He said, "Lily, I've missed you pulling me toward the cornfield. Let's be together like before." His words melted my doubts, and I followed blind to the trap. In my past life, that night led to my ruined pregnancy, shame, a life tethered to his family. Now reborn, I saw the truth. Ethan was playing two games, one with me, one with Olivia's power. The memory of his betrayal at 60, mocking my sacrifices, burned in my chest. Our childhood bond, once a promise of shared dreams, was a chain he'd used to bind me. I stood in the present, the village unchanged, its dirt paths, and judgmental whispers pressing in. Ethan's house loomed across the way, a reminder of the life I'd almost lost again. I wouldn't let nostalgia fool me. The college exam was my way out, and I'd fight for it, no matter who stood in my way. In my past life, I was a moth drawn to Ethan Carter's flame, blind to how it would burn me. At 17, I believed his promises, his words sweeter than the summer breeze that swept our village. That night in the cornfield, his whispers of love and a shared future drowned out the scratch of dry stalks against my skin. He said we'll marry after I graduate, his fox-like eyes glinting in the moonlight. I gave myself to him, my heart full, not knowing I was stepping into a trap that would cage me for decades. The college entrance exam was a month away, and my dream of escaping our mountain village was within reach. But during the test, my vision blurred, my body betrayed me, and I collapsed in the exam room. The doctor's words were a hammer. I was pregnant. My parents' faces crumpled, shame warring with love. They sat by my bedside silent as the village whispered. "Lily's ruined," they said. "No college for her now." My dreams of lecture halls and city lights faded, replaced by the weight of Ethan's child and his family's needs. My parents, though heartbroken, stood by me. Mom said, "We'll get through this," her voice steady despite her tears. Ethan knelt beside me, his face a mask of sincerity. "I'll marry you after college," he swore. "Just wait for me." I clung to those words like a lifeline, seeing myself as part of his family. I moved into their shack, tending to his blind father who muttered complaints, and his paralyzed mother whose bed sores I cleaned daily. My hands grew rough, my back ached, but I worked scrubbing floors in town, sewing late into the night to send Ethan money for tuition. Each coin was a piece of my future, given freely for a promise I believed. 4 years dragged on my youth, eroding under the village's judgmental stares. Poor Lily, they'd say pity laced with scorn, all for a boy. Then came the news that shattered me. Ethan had died in a car accident. I fell to my knees, tears soaking the dirt floor, my world collapsing. I lost consciousness, waking to a life of duty. I cared for his parents, my dreams buried. My parents helped, despite the village's gossip. Their love for me was a quiet strength. Years turned to decades. My black hair turned white, my body a shadow of the girl who'd dreamed of college. At 60, the truth unraveled. Ethan hadn't died. He'd faked his death to marry Olivia, the county mayor's daughter, whose father's promotion demanded a clean break from his past. I was his scapegoat, tricked into pregnancy to stay behind, bound to his family while he climbed into wealth. The realization was a knife in my gut. I'd given everything, my body, my future, my parents' pride, for a lie. At the village monument, his words to his granddaughter, "Don't be like her," shamelessly throwing herself at a man, were a final blow, mocking my sacrifice as weakness. I confronted him, my walking stick trembling in my hand. "You used me," I cried, my voice raw with decades of pain. His eyes, once my haven, were cold. He pushed me against the stone pillar, and pain exploded in my skull. As darkness claimed me, I saw my life clearly, a girl who loved too fiercely, betrayed by the boy she trusted. My last breath was a vow, if I had another chance, I'd never let him win again. The cornfield's dry stalks loomed like silent witnesses, their shadows stretching long in the fading light of a 1995 summer evening. Ethan Carter stood before me, his hands still raised as if my slap hadn't registered. His cheek glowed red, but his fox-like eyes held that familiar glint, half charm, half desperation. "Lily, what's wrong with you?" he asked, his voice a mix of hurt and confusion, as if I were betraying him. My heart thudded, not with fear, but with a fire I hadn't known I possessed. I was reborn 18 again, with a chance to rewrite my past life's tragedy. This time I wouldn't fall. "Stay away, Ethan." I said, my voice steady, each word a brick in the wall I was building between us. I buttoned my shirt, the cotton cool against my flushed skin, and stepped back, the crunch of earth under my shoes grounding me. His promises from my past life echoed in my mind: college together, marriage, a life beyond our village's mud brick homes. Those words had led to a pregnancy, a ruined exam, and decades of servitude to his family. I saw him at 60, sneering at my withered form, his granddaughter by his side. Don't be like her, he'd said, his disdain a blade. The memory fueled my resolve, but a more profound fear tugged at me. Could I truly escape the girl who'd loved him? Ethan stepped closer, his smile softening, the one that used to melt me. Lily, I'm sorry. Was I too rough? I couldn't help it. You know I love you. His hand grazed my arm, and for a fleeting moment my heart wavered. I remembered our childhood, his laughter by the river, the warmth of his kiss at 16. That naive and trusting Lily lingered inside me, whispering that maybe he meant it. But the truth was sharper. He'd faked his death, married Olivia, and left me to rot. I shoved his hand away, my strength surprising us both. You don't love me, I said, my voice ice. You love what I can give you, my body, my future, and everything. His eyes flickered guilt, then defiance. Come on, Lily, we'll go to college together and leave this place. Believe in me. The same lie word for word that had chained me in my past life. I laughed, a cold, bitter sound that startled him. Believe in you. You're a leech, Ethan Carter. Touch me again and I'll report you for harassment. The village will know precisely what you are. My words hung heavy in the humid air, and for the first time I saw doubt in his gaze, as if he sensed I wasn't the same girl he'd manipulated. Inside, I was a storm. Breaking free wasn't just about rejecting Ethan, but facing myself. Could I trust my own heart so easily swayed in the past? The image of my parents' shame, their quiet support through years of village gossip, flashed in my mind. I'd let them down once, sacrificing their dreams for a boy who'd mocked me no more. I straightened, my fists clenched. This is your last warning, I said, staring into his eyes. Come near me again and you'll regret it. Ethan stood frozen, the cornfield's rustle the only sound. He thought he could sweet-talk me as he always had, but the infatuation in my eyes was gone, replaced by disgust. He muttered something, his voice low, and backed away, his confidence crumbling. I turned my steps firm and walked toward the village, its lanterns glowing faintly against the dusk. The college entrance exam was a month away, my one chance to escape. Doubt lingered. Could I outsmart Ethan's charm, the village's judgment, my own heart? But as the stars emerged, I vowed to myself I'd died for him once. This time, I'd live for myself. The cornfield's edge gave way to the village's dirt path, the summer dusk casting long shadows over mud brick homes. My slap still stung on my palm, Ethan's shocked face burned in my mind. I was reborn 18 with a month until the college entrance exam, a chance to escape the life that had broken me. But as I walked, my resolve wavered. Could I face the village's whispers alone, their judgment as heavy as the mountains around us? The air was thick with cicadas' hum, and I felt the weight of my past life's loneliness creeping back. A figure blocked my path, hands on hips, eyes blazing. My classmate and rival Leela Chen stood there, her dark braids swinging like a pendulum. You shameless girl, she spat, sneaking into the cornfield with Ethan Carter. I'm telling the teacher. Her voice was sharp, but her eyes flickered with something softer, jealousy. Yes, but also pain. In my past life, Leela had loved Ethan too, her taunts a mask for her longing. Yet when I'd fainted during the exam, pregnant and ruined, she'd been the first to drape her jacket over me, a quiet kindness. Later, when Ethan's death left me broken, she'd slipped me a crumpled $10 bill, her own life no less tragic. My throat tightened. I saw her past life's end, married to a cruel man, driven to drown herself in the river behind our village. Was she too touched by rebirth? Without thinking, I stepped forward and hugged her, my arms trembling. Leela, I whispered, we don't have to fight. Let's leave this village together. Let's take the exam, attend college, and find a better life. Tears stung my eyes, not just for me, but for her, for the girls we'd been crushed by this place. Leela froze, her body stiff, then pushed me back, her face a mix of shock and suspicion. Lily, have you lost your mind? She asked, but her voice wavered, as if my words had struck a hidden chord. I wiped my eyes, forcing a smile. Maybe I have, but I'm done with Ethan, done with this village's rules. Aren't you tired of it too? The way they expect us to marry, to stay, to fade? Leela's gaze dropped her fingers, twisting the hem of her faded dress. In my past life, her parents valued only their son, forcing her to fight for her education. She'd held a knife to her throat to take the exam, only to fail and be sold into a marriage that broke her. Now her eyes met mine, searching as if she sensed a truth beyond this moment. "I keep dreaming," she said softly, "of a life where I married a monster." I jumped into the river Lily. It was so cold. Her voice cracked, and I knew she remembered fragments just as I did. My heart raced. "Those dreams," I said, gripping her hands, "they're a warning. We can change it, Leela. Together we'll pass the exam. We'll leave." Her eyes widened, fear and hope warring within them. She laughed a shaky sound. "You're crazy, Lily. My grades are worse than yours. How am I supposed to get into college?" But she didn't pull away. I saw the girl who'd fought her family and shown me kindness despite her pain. "We'll study together," I said. "I know things, exam questions, tricks. Trust me." I couldn't tell her I was reborn, but my certainty was enough. Leela nodded slowly, a spark igniting in her eyes. "If you're wrong, I'll haunt you," she teased, but her grip on my hand tightened. The village loomed around us, its lanterns flickering like judgmental eyes. The path to my house lay ahead, where my parents waited, their love my anchor. Leela and I could be more than rivals. We could be allies, sisters, in a fight to break free. The exam was our doorway, and I'd ensure we walked through it no matter what Ethan or the village threw at us. The village path stretched before me, its dirt packed hard by years of footsteps leading to the familiar glow of my family's mud brick home. The summer night buzzed with cicadas, their song a constant hum in the 1995 air. My heart still raced from the cornfield where I'd slapped Ethan Carter and walked away from his lies. Leela Chen's hesitant alliance lingered in my mind, her haunted eyes mirroring my reborn clarity. But as I neared my house, a deeper ache surfaced, memories of my past life where my parents' love had been my only light in a world darkened by betrayal. I pushed open the wooden door, which creaked like a childhood sound. The smell of boiled chicken hit me, a rare luxury in our village. Mom stood at the stove, her apron stained, her smile warm as she stirred a steaming pot. Dad sat at the table, carving a piece of wood, his calloused hands steady. "Lily, just in time," Mom said, her voice bright. "Get Ethan. He should eat with us." Her words, so casual, struck like a stone. I'd have run to fetch him in my past life, saving the best pieces for the boy I loved. I saw the truth Ethan had fed on our kindness, leaving me to bear his family's burdens. "No," I said, my voice firm, startling them both. "He's not family anymore." Mom's spoon paused, and Dad's carving knife stilled. Their eyes met, then turned to me, puzzled. I sat at the table, my hands trembling as I gripped the edge. In my past life, my pregnancy had shamed them, their honest lives tarnished by village gossip. They'd helped me care for Ethan's blind father and paralyzed mother, enduring whispers of poor Lily ruined girl. Their love never wavered, but I'd seen the toll in their tired eyes, their quiet grief. The memory choked me, tears welling as I buried my face in Mom's shoulder. "Our daughter's acting spoiled now," Mom teased, but her arms tightened around me, warm and strong. Dad chuckled, setting his carving aside. "What's this about Lily?" "You and Ethan fight," I pulled back, wiping my eyes. "No fight," I said. "I'm done with him. I'm going to college, Mom, Dad. I'll make you proud." The words spilled out a vow born from decades of regret. In my past life, failing the exam was my deepest wound, and the test paper was my only solace in sleepless nights. Now reborn, I knew its questions, its tricks. I'd outperform Ethan, rewrite my fate. Mom's eyes softened, and Dad's grin widened. "That's our girl," he said, his voice thick. "No college student comes from this village, but if anyone can, it's you." Their pride washed over me, a warmth I hadn't felt in years. I thought of their sacrifices, feeding Ethan, supporting me through shame, never giving up. In my past life, they'd died quietly, weighed down by my choices. This time, I'd repay them not just with words, but with a future college, a job, a life where they'd never face gossip again. "I'll take care of you," I whispered, too soft for them to hear, but the promise burned in my chest. The chicken was steamed on the table, and its aroma was rich. I took a bite, savoring the flavor, a stark contrast to the lean years of my past life. Ethan's shadow loomed his house across the path, a reminder of the trap I'd escaped. I wouldn't let him near us again. The village's judgmental eyes waited outside, but with my parents' laughter inside, I found purpose. The exam was a month away, my doorway to freedom. Leela and I would fight for it together, and I'd carry my parents' love with me, a shield against the past. The village woke with the sun, its mud brick homes bathed in the golden haze of a 1995 summer morning. Leela and I hunched over textbooks inside our small house, the air thick with the scent of ink and determination. My reborn memory, though faded, held fragments of the college entrance exam, quadratic equations, key literary passages, English verb tenses. I underlined critical sections in my notes, whispering to Leela, "Focus on these. They'll be on the test." She nodded, her eyes fierce, her pencil scratching furiously. We had a month to change our fates, and every moment counted. Outside, the village buzzed with its usual rhythm, chickens clucking carts, rattling voices sharp with gossip. Leela and I became their favorite target. "Look, the college girls." An auntie jeered as we walked to school, her voice dripping with sarcasm and paving a Mayu road to the stars. The mispronounced asphalt drew laughs from passers-by, their eyes mocking our ambition. Leela's cheeks flushed, her head dipping, but I squeezed her arm. "Chin up," I said. "We'll slap their doubts with our acceptance letters." Her lips twitched, a spark of defiance returning. In my past life, their taunts had crushed me, but now reborn, I saw them for what they were: fear of change, envy of our courage. School was no refuge. Olivia, the county mayor's daughter, sat at her desk like a queen, her polished shoes contrasting with our worn ones. Her father's looming promotion fueled her need to prove herself, and Ethan's flirtations with her, a boy from the dirt yet charming, stirred her insecurity. She saw me as a threat, a village girl who dared to dream beyond her place. During a break, I returned to find my desk soaked in black ink, my textbooks and practice sheets ruined. My heart sank, but anger surged. Olivia twirled her hair, her smile innocent, but her eyes gleamed with malice. "What a shame," she said, her voice syrupy. "Maybe college isn't for everyone." I clenched my fists, remembering my past life's failure sharply. In that life, I'd fainted during the exam pregnant and broken my dreams, drowned in shame. Now Olivia's sabotage was a test of my resolve. Leela stood beside me, her gaze hard. "Who did this?" she demanded, her voice carrying across the classroom. No one answered, but whispers rippled, Olivia's allies eager to please her. I knew she'd never dirty her hands, she was too clever and untouchable. Her father's status made her a princess here, and she wielded it like a weapon, desperate to secure her future through control. "We can't let her win," I whispered to Leela, salvaging what pages I could. My reborn knowledge was my edge, specific formulas, essay prompts I'd pored over in sleepless nights decades ago. I shared them with Leela, our evenings spent drilling math problems and memorizing poetry. I told her the exam loves Tang Dynasty poems, recalling a question from my past life. Levi's metaphors are key. Once at the bottom of our class, Leela soaked it up, her determination matching mine. We studied by lantern light, my parents slipping us extra rice, their quiet pride a shield against the village's scorn. The hostility grew. At the market, a neighbor spat college girls thinking they're better than us. I met his gaze unflinching. "We're not better," I said. "We want more." Leela smirked, her confidence growing. But Olivia's shadow loomed, her sabotage a reminder of the stakes. She wanted Ethan power, a future her father approved, not me, not us stealing her spotlight. I vowed to outshine her, not just for myself, but for Leela, my parents, and every girl this village tried to bury. The classroom smelled of chalk dust and sweat, and its cracked walls were a testament to our village's meager means in the summer of 1995. My desk, still damp with black ink, was a battlefield, my ruined textbooks and practice sheets, a casualty of Olivia's war. Leela stood beside me, her fists clenched, her dark braids swinging as she scanned the room. "Who did this?" she demanded again, her voice cutting through the whispers of our classmates. Their eyes darted away, but Olivia, the mayor's daughter, sat poised at her desk, twirling a strand of hair, her smile a mask of innocence. Her eyes betrayed her, sharp with malice fueled by insecurity. Ethan's attention to me threatened her carefully curated future, one that her father's promotion depended on her securing through charm and control. I gripped the edge of my desk, my heart pounding with reborn fury. In my past life, I'd crumbled under shame, my pregnancy and Ethan's betrayal sealing my fate. Now, with the college entrance exam 3 weeks away, I wouldn't let Olivia's sabotage break me. My memories of the exam, quadratic formulas, Levi's poetry were my weapons, but this ink-stained desk was a reminder I had to fight here too. Susan Jang, Olivia's loyal follower, stepped forward, her broad shoulders squared. "So what if I did it?" she sneered, her voice loud enough for the room to hear. "Little Miss Genius won't get into Tsinghua with her ruined books." Laughter rippled through the class, a cruel chorus. Village chicken dreaming of being a phoenix, someone jeered. Stick with Ethan, Lily. That's your best shot. Ethan sat in the corner, his fox-like eyes watching, a faint smirk on his lips. Olivia's glance at him was possessive, her insecurity flaring. She needed him to boost her status. Not me. My blood boiled. In my past life, I'd been too weak to fight back my dreams, mocked as I slaved for Ethan's family. Now I was done being their punching bag. I grabbed the ink-soaked textbook, its pages dripping, and slammed it into Susan's face. She staggered, blood trickling from her nose, her shocked cry silencing the room. "You ruined it! You keep it!" I said, my voice steady, my gaze sweeping the class. "I want to study. Anyone who stops me will regret it. I've got strength, and I'm not afraid to use it." The words were a vow born from decades of regret. Susan clutched her face, whimpering, while classmates stared, stunned. In my past life, I'd hauled water and scrubbed floors to pay for Ethan's tuition. My arms were strong, my will stronger. Leela stepped forward, her eyes blazing. "I'm with Lily," she declared, her voice a thunderclap. "We're leaving this pit and no one's dragging us down." Olivia couldn't stay silent. She slammed her desk, standing, her face flushed with anger and fear. "This is a classroom, not a brawl." She snapped, her role as class president a flimsy shield. "I apologize to Susan and Lily, or I'll report you." Her father's influence made her untouchable, but I saw her desperation. Ethan's divided attention threatened her control, her future. I smirked. "Where were you when Susan poured the ink? Or do you only care when it suits you?" Olivia's eyes narrowed, but no one backed her up. The class, cowed by her status, stayed silent. Leela grinned, sensing our moment. "If we get into college," she said, pointing at Olivia, "you and Ethan stand at the village loudspeaker and shout, 'I'm an idiot,' 3 times. Olivia laughed, a brittle sound. "If you two get in, I'll do it. But if you fail, you kneel and call me Grandma 10 times. Her confidence was a facade. She needed us to fail to prove her worth to her father. I nodded. "Deal. And if we win, you shout it 3 times a day for 3 days. Leela added, "Whoever backs out starves for life." We sealed the bet, and the room was electric with tension. Ethan stared, his smirk gone, as if seeing me for the first time. Leela grabbed my hand and we marched out, leaving whispers in our wake. The exam was our fight, and we'd win it together for ourselves and every girl this village tried to crush. The river behind our village sparkled under the late afternoon sun, its clear waters a rare purity in the summer of 1995. Leela and I squatted by its bank, scrubbing ink stains from our hands, and the black smudges were a reminder of Olivia's sabotage. My ruined textbooks weighed on my mind, but my reborn memory held the exam's secrets: quadratic equations, Tang Dynasty poems, English grammar rules. I'd shared them with Leela, and we'd studied relentlessly, our lanterns burning late into the night. The college entrance exam was 2 weeks away, our ticket out of this village's suffocating grip. Leela's movements were slow, her eyes distant. The bold fire she'd shown in the classroom, standing with me against Olivia and Susan, had faded. She stared at the river, her voice barely a whisper. "Lily, I keep dreaming of a life that wasn't mine. I married a man who beat me, his leg crippled, his heart twisted. I couldn't fight back forever. I jumped into this river." She hugged herself, shivering despite the heat. It was so cold. Her words mirrored my past life memories, confirming her partial rebirth. In my previous life, Leela had drowned herself in her early 20s, her spirit broken by a cruel marriage forced by her family's preference for their son. My heart ached. I dropped the rag and hugged her, her trembling frame small against mine. I said to Leela, "Those dreams are a warning," my voice steady but soft. "We've been given another chance. I see it too, my past life where Ethan betrayed me, left me to rot. This time, we'll have a good ending. I promise." I couldn't tell her the whole truth of my rebirth, but her dreams were enough. She pulled back, her eyes searching mine, then nodded slowly. "I believe you," she whispered, a spark of hope breaking through her fear. "But Lily, my grades were always terrible. What if I fail?" I smiled, squeezing her hand. "You won't. I remember enough of the exam to guide us. Please focus on the math formulas I showed you and the poetry analysis. We'll do this together." Her lips curved, a rare softness. Leela's kindness, her jacket over me when I fainted, her $10 bill in my darkest days, had been a lifeline in my past life. Now she was my sister in this fight. We stood the river's gentle flow, a promise of freedom beyond the village's mud brick homes and judgmental stares. Back home, my parents welcomed Leela when her family cast her out. Her parents, obsessed with their son's future, had thrown her clothes into the dirt, shouting, "No food until you give up this college nonsense." My mom, unfazed, set extra rice on the table, her voice firm. "Eat both of you, then back to your books." She added overbraised pork, a luxury we rarely afforded. "When you succeed, you'll slap their doubts with your acceptance letters." Leela's eyes reddened, tears mixing with laughter. "She teased your family, who were always talking about beating someone swallowing a bite." My dad chuckled, his eyes warm. "It's how we win, Leela." The village's scorn persisted. Passing Ethan's house, we heard his mother's cough, followed by her spitting curse. "Ungrateful girls," she muttered. In my past life, I'd scrubbed her floors, believing it my duty. Now I ignored her, and my focus was on the exam. Leela sighed, glancing at me. "You sure about cutting Ethan off? You two were close." I shook my head, my past life's pain too raw. "He's a leech, Leela. We're chasing real dreams now." Her nod was firm, our bond sealed by shared scars and hopes. Together we'd face Olivia, Ethan, and the village, our sisterhood stronger than their hate. The air in the abandoned classroom was stifling heavy with the scent of dust and summer heat in 1995. Ethan Carter cornered me near the chalkboard, his fox-like eyes dark with intent. "Lily, don't be so cold," he said, his voice low, dripping with the charm that had trapped me in my past life. His hands gripped my shoulders, pulling me close, his breath hot on my neck. "You used to melt when I kissed you. Olivia's just for show. Her dad's promotion can help me. You're the one I love." My stomach churned, memories of my past life flooding back his lies. My pregnancy, a lifetime of servitude to his family. Reborn, I wouldn't fall again. I pushed against him, my heart pounding with disgust and fear. "Let go, Ethan," I hissed, but his grip tightened, his body pressing closer. In my past life, his touch had led to my ruin. Now it was a violation I refused to endure. Just as panic rose, the door slammed open with a crash. Leela stormed in, wielding a mop like a weapon, her braids swinging wildly. "Get off her," she shouted, swinging the handle hard across Ethan's back. He yelped, stumbling, and I seized the moment, driving my knee into his groin. His strangled scream echoed as Leela and I bolted our footsteps, pounding down the school's dirt path until we reached safety, the village's lanterns flickering in the dusk. Panting, Leela spat on the ground. "That bastard," she growled, rolling up her sleeves. "I should go back and finish him." I grabbed her arm, my voice steady despite my racing heart. "Not now, Leela. The exam's in a week. We can't risk trouble." But revenge burned in me. Ethan's love letters, full of nauseating promises, were my weapon. The next day I slipped them into Olivia's desk, knowing her pride, fueled by her father's expectations, and her need to control Ethan, would unravel him. She'd see his betrayal, his divided heart, and act. Days later, whispers spread Ethan had been beaten, left crippled in a hospital bed. Olivia's doing, no doubt her fury at his duplicity unleashed. I hadn't expected such violence, but a grim satisfaction settled in me. In my past life, Ethan had faked his death to climb into wealth, leaving me to rot. Now karma had struck, his college dreams shattered as mine once were. Leela and I exchanged a glance, no words needed. Justice was served, but our real victory lay ahead. The exam day dawned bright, the village's mud brick homes aglow with morning light. Leela and I sat in the exam room, pencils sharp, my reborn memory guiding us. I recalled specific questions, Levi's metaphors, quadratic formulas, and poured them onto the page. Leela, her confidence bolstered by our study sessions, wrote with fierce focus. As we left the school, our eyes met across the crowd, and we smiled, a silent pact of triumph. My parents waited at the gates, holding sodas, their faces hopeful. The village's usual jeers softened their tone, tinged with reluctant respect. The college girls finished, and someone muttered less mockery in their voice. On results day, Leela and I stood at the village convenience shop, the phone's dial tone loud in the tense air. Villagers gathered, expecting our failure. The automated voice announced Lily language 124 math, 128 English 132, humanities 236, total 6 to 20. Leela language 126, math 117, English 121, humanities 238, total 612. We threw our arms around each other, speechless as the crowd gasped. My dad's hands shook as he lit a cigarette, his voice booming. "Aunt May, your best smokes, my girls got into college." Mom covered her mouth, tears shining. The village's tune changed, grudging admiration replacing scorn. Leela squeezed my hand, our victory a beacon in the dust. The hospital room reeked of antiseptic and despair, starkly contrasting the vibrant summer outside. Ethan Carter lay slumped in a bed, his once charming face gaunt, his legs useless beneath the thin sheet. It was 1995, and the village whispered of his downfall, a beating orchestrated by Olivia's fury. After finding his love letters had ended his college dreams, he'd sent word through my parents begging to see me. I stood at the doorway, my nose wrinkling at the stale air, my heart steady. Leela waited outside, her presence a quiet strength. The college entrance exam results. My score of 620, Leela's 612, had secured our places at top universities, a victory that still hummed in my veins. Ethan struggled to sit up, his fox-like eyes flickering with hope and desperation. Lily, he rasped, I had a dream, a past life where I wronged you. I left you married, Olivia, and hurt you. I know now. I'm sorry. His voice cracked as if the weight of his past life sins had finally broken him. Please wait for me. In 1 year, I'll recover and get into college. I won't let you down this time. In my past life, I'd waited decades for his empty promises, my youth spent caring for his family, while he mocked me at 60, telling his granddaughter, don't be like her. The memory stung, but it no longer owned me. I laughed, a cold, sharp sound that made him flinch. You think I'd forgive you, Ethan? You used me, lied to me, and left me to rot while you climbed into wealth. I was your fool in that life, waiting for a promise you never meant to keep. Not this time. His face paled, horror creeping into his eyes. No, Lily, you loved me. You waited half your life for me, he pleaded, shaking his head. What went wrong? I stepped closer, my voice low. What went wrong? I woke up. You're not my future, you're my past. The words freed me, lifting the weight of decades of pain. I turned, leaving him to his broken dreams, his world shattered as mine once was. Outside, Leela's bright smile greeted me, the summer sun framing her like a halo. Ready, she asked, her voice full of hope. I nodded, the path ahead glowing with possibility. We walked through the village, its mud brick homes no longer a cage, but a stepping stone. My parents waited at home, and their pride and warmth I carried. In my past life, their love had sustained me through shame. Now I vowed to repay them. I'll study hard, get a job, build you a house. I'd promised Mom over dinner, her eyes misty as Dad squeezed my hand. Just be happy, Lily, he'd said. Their sacrifices, feeding Leela, enduring gossip, would be honored with my success. The village had changed since our exam results. The jeers of college girls had faded, replaced by hesitant respect. Aunt May at the shop nodded as we passed, her usual sarcasm gone. Those girls proved us wrong, she'd told a neighbor. Our success sparked whispers among younger girls, their eyes bright with new dreams. The village's rigid hierarchies and preference for sons began to crack, and our victory became a beacon for others. Humiliated by the letters, Olivia had vanished to the city, her bet unpaid, but her power broken. Ethan's family spat curses, but their voices held no sway. As Leela and I boarded the bus to college, the mountains receded and sunlight spilled across the road. I clutched my acceptance letter, Leela's hand in mine. The future was ours, not Ethan's, not the village's, but ours. We'd rewritten our fates, and the world beyond awaited vast and open.